You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
I can tell you
You're
again,
running low on soldiers.
Listen, please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire.
That was just a small part of the extremely tense exchange between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy this afternoon. Following that, Zelenskyy and his team were reportedly told to leave the White House, and the joint press conference with Trump was canceled. So where does this leave a possible peace deal between Ukraine and Russia? Joining me now to talk more about this is Canada's former ambassador to Ukraine, as well as a number of other countries, Roman Waschuk. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Doing okay. There's an air raid alert here in Kyiv, but so far, no sound of anti-aircraft fire yet.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. And I wanted to ask you, and start with that exchange that we just played in the Oval Office. In all of your years as a diplomat, have you ever seen anything like that?
Never, ever.
To say that it's unprecedented, is that a bit of an understatement? And what do you think this means about the relationship between these two men right now and where it will have to go?
Yeah. I think it's sort of a logical sequence to what happened at the Munich Security Conference. And it's a sequence as well to the pressure being put on countries like Canada. You basically push around your allies and you make nice with big authoritarian, autocratic enemies because you assume that big powers get to push around all the smaller powers around them. And we simply saw live how that pushing around happens.
Yeah, and I want to get to what that means for Canada in just a second. But President Trump said to Zelenskyy that he can come back when he's ready for peace. Where does that leave the deal where Ukraine was going to give the U.S. access to critical minerals in exchange for some sort of security?
Nowheresville, I think. First of all, the deal started off being extortionate a couple of weeks ago. The Ukrainians managed to whittle it down to something a bit more reasonable, but still no firm security guarantees. Always this obsessive returning to, you owe us $350 billion, et cetera. I mean, it's basically in the same league as $260 billion Canadian subsidy, et cetera. These are Trumpian imaginary numbers that live in his head, but which sort of power his emotion and power his feeling that he needs to assert himself and squash those who he feels should be dependent on him.
It's interesting because we just had a Ukrainian MP on who has tweeted out and said that she believes that European allies need to step up right now and supply weapons and help them fill the void. A, do you think that's possible? And B, do you get a sense that that will happen? Has the game changed, and have European allies sort of thought to themselves, now it is time to step in fully here?
Yes. I think we're going to see a meeting on Sunday in London. Nearly everyone who's participating there has been tweeting it up tonight, saying we need to help Ukraine more. And some of those who have more capabilities, the French notably, have been forward-leaning on this. So I think we are going to see a rapid change in the geometry. I think we're going to see a Europe plus potentially Canada, plus potentially Australia, New Zealand, those who are still in the game, Japan, lining up to fill some of the gap that the Americans are going to leave. And there are already reports tonight that they're considering cutting off even already approved aid in the pipeline. But it's becoming an existential moment for the Europeans because every one of them can see themselves sitting in that chair being berated if it is for some reason or other in either Trump's or Vance's interest to do so.
And it's interesting because despite that, yesterday we saw Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, maybe not as strong as a lot of people would have expected him to be. He even got talked over by Trump. How is that going to sort of translate into a stronger Europe trying to rush to the aid of Ukraine, especially when you consider how Trump was today?
I think the British are in a particularly delicate situation. They have left the EU, so they're feeling a bit at loose ends, and so are trying to play this bridge role. But I think the demolition squad has been out there targeting bridges, so I'm not sure how how useful a role that will be. I think you're going to see certainly all the members in the EU, with the exception of maybe of Hungary and Slovakia, mobilizing to do more. And I think you're going to see people looking at things like air patrol as a potential use of things. You've got the Germans talking about, can the French nuclear umbrella be extended over Germany? Because, of course, France has an independent nuclear deterrent. The UK has one, but it is very much interlinked with the US. So we are seeing in real time, just like we saw humiliation or attempted humiliation in real time at the Oval Office, we are seeing real time the geometry of transatlantic security changing.
So to the point that you were making earlier, what does this mean for Canada when it comes to us trying to continue to negotiate away tariffs in the face of what Donald Trump has done today and the threat that is coming next week?
Right. I think it shows that you can make good faith efforts, work on seemingly serious documents, but if the mood shifts, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good. So I think if I were a betting man, I think the tariffs are coming anyway on the 4th, and we'll have to see what the consequences then are. There's simply so much by way of beliefs in the wonders of tariffs, beliefs in being ripped off by people who are your closest allies, and a belief that you have to make deals with big, scary people because that validates you as big and scary too.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Roman Waschuk, Canada's former ambassador to Ukraine, joining us from Kyiv. Thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate it.
You're very welcome.